at the expo and at the EV Reality Check space, we are talking to industry experts that are making the industry happen. You're getting a chance to talk to a lot of different brands here today, but here at EV Reality Check, we're going to do some deep dives with people that are on the front lines or maybe even behind the curtain making things happen. So right now, I'm joined by Schaer from GM Energy, and you are Senior Product Manager for Utilities and Aggregators. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
That's kind of a mouthful, a little bit. but for those who need to know what GM Energy is up to and really what that means from the connection point from General Motors into the realm of the energy sector, unpack that for us. What is it you guys are up to?
So at GM Energy, we are managing the various different areas that electric vehicles can intersect with the grid. So it currently is covering 3 main business areas. One is home energy, so that are our products, and I think you can see some over at the GM presence at Electrify Expo, where you can see some of our bidirectional chargers, our power shift. You can see some of the bundles that are built around that product that include our V2H package, as all vehicles after model year 24 are V2H capable, so that can be connected with or paired with any of the current GM vehicles, and then additional bundles that incorporate our power bank ESS. There's 2 other elements that I just make sure to cover. Is one, our whole public charging operation is within GM Energy, and then the area that last but not least, but it's the area I specifically work on, is our relationship with utility companies and deployment of vehicle grid integration, our managed charging programs, demand response, V1G, V2H, etc.
So let's pretend I'm Billy Madison and I don't know what any of that meant. So no, let's kind of start high level, because you guys are covering a ton. This is so much as it relates to how batteries are changing the home lifestyle along with the transportation lifestyle, and you're trying to marry a lot of those things. So kind of starting where you are on the utility side, is at the end of the day, the automotive industry has really never had to engage with the utility. Those have been 2 separate industries, 2 separate worlds in a lot of ways. Brands like Tesla started to showcase how we could do some integration around that. And with GM Energy, it's that same approach to say, we've got this great battery technology, you got vehicles that, hey, we can fill you up with electricity, but then how do you start to marry that with the home? So one of the things that you're working on is related to the utility engagement with your products. What's that process like? I mean, I'm assuming it's a lot of education in both ways, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it's definitely involves working with the customer, both from the perspective of the utility company, but even more importantly with the end user. So we have various different programs that are currently active for the end user that are throughout at various different utility territories throughout the country. We have Kentucky, we've got Arizona, we have just launched here in New Jersey, for people in the tri-state area that are over in New Jersey with Jersey Central Power and Light, and then also in Texas. So these are programs where we are reaching out to EV owners that have purchased vehicles that can participate, and informing them of the opportunity to join one of these programs. And the bottom line for them is that we're doing everything on the GM side to make our EVs more affordable, but this essentially works out to be, here's just yet another opportunity to reduce your total cost of ownership by participating in one of these programs.
So programmatically, if I was to sign up, what does that look like? So let's say, for example, I bought a brand new Silverado EV. Again, big battery. It's got the ability to do both. You can charge the truck, but also the truck can offboard energy, and you can use it as basically a power source. What does that look like programmatically for someone who's in New Jersey, for example?
Yeah, it's really simple. Basically, you'll get a note from us by email, a push notification in your app. We are working on all the different channels to reach out to our customers in simple, straightforward ways. But basically, you will be clicking on a link. We'll take you to the GM Energy Smart Charging Portal, and you'll log in with your GM account. And then from there, it's just a few clicks away, and you're enrolled in the program.
So when you're enrolled in the program, though, what is the program doing once you've enrolled?
Yeah, there's a few different strategies or deployments for the various programs that are active across the country. But right now, the programs we're running primarily are the demand response type. So if people aren't familiar with demand response,
you say most people have never heard that phrase. It's like I demand a response. No, that's not what we meant really. But demand response is important because and demand on the grid is what we're talking about, right? So anytime you see that there's inclement weather, it could be cold, it could be a hurricane, could be a variety of reasons, hot, and everybody's running their AC. If there's a lot of demand on the grid, that means the grid is having to work harder to power everything.
Or bring on dirtier power plants.
Exactly. And so if you have a truck or a vehicle that has a battery on it, you've stored the energy. Maybe you stored that energy from solar. Maybe you did it from when the grid was cleaner. So how does that then work to be a demand response product? It's like, well, hey, if you're plugged in, we can work with your truck to make the grid cleaner, and also you get a benefit out of it as an owner, right?
That's exactly right. So just as you said, there's a variety of different reasons at the grid level: reliability, cost, just the overall level of balancing the grid that will cause utilities to call these events. But for the end user, it basically is we will work with you to identify an optimal charge plan for you. And basically the utility is going to call an event. It might be 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and we will pause charging during that time. So usually the events are not easy to predict aside from we know that there's a really warm weather day coming up tomorrow. There might be an event, but usually there's between 5 and 20 events. It depends upon the utility territory that you're in.
And so when you say an event, what we're talking
during
about
the summertime, I should add.
Right, yeah. It's like, oh, it's going to be super hot. Everybody's going to be cranking their AC.
Exactly.
The grid, imagine the grid is a cute little teddy bear that starts sweating like crazy. It's like, I'm working too hard. It's like, okay, well then all of this we're talking about is, well, maybe there's these little mini teddy bears that are distributed around it saying, hey, we got you, bud. You can leverage us to make sure you're not working that hard.
Exactly. And generally the world is adding more teddy bears into your house right now. It could be
Harris. I'm telling you, man, you're going to use the teddy bear analogy moving forward.
Well, my son Teddy is over there too.
Oh, that was a perfect.
But I'm just going to latch on to that because it's important for people to understand, especially here in the Northeast, not only are electric vehicles selling well, but in addition, there's also a drive for people to convert from gas or oil heating to electric heat pumps. So there's a convergence of different things that are adding load onto the grid. So the opportunity for, if you're an electric vehicle owner, that you have a source of flexible load that the utility is going to really want to be able to utilize.
I think so. You just brought up a great point. The utility is really going to want to be able to utilize. And I think this is probably one of the biggest challenges for educating the public on what this means for them as, again, product owners, especially for vehicles, and also customers to the utility, is the value proposition to someone who has a truck or a vehicle that can be used for this purpose. At the end of the day, everybody that's owned a car prior to an EV that was running on gasoline, for example, they bought that car, they bought the gas, it was just theirs, leave me alone, it's my thing. This is a very communal process for how energy is used, how energy is transferred, and so the value proposition, I think, to me is probably one of the biggest struggles to make someone say, cool, I'm signing up, because they don't want to feel like they're getting, losing something they already bought, or maybe it's like, it seems to kind of like you're tapping into something that's mine. What's the benefit for me? But there's a controlled element to it. It's just like, look, we're not going to do something that's going to make so your ownership experience is worse. The information that you're using is to make it so you can manage the grid while their ownership experience isn't affected.
I think that kind of customer experience, customer journey consideration is extremely important. I think what we've found is that people are, people are really excited to use this feature, especially they buy their vehicle, they're trying to discover all the different interesting things it can do in comparison to the ICE vehicle that they had before, and so when they learn, they can schedule charging within the head unit, but the next step from there is that they can schedule it based on what's most beneficial to their local neighborhood. And the other piece to this is that, I think people make the realization that, it varies person to person, but, your vehicle is potentially sitting in your garage 60, 70, 80% of the time.
Just hangs out.
And so it's just sitting there, and here's an opportunity for it to have little overall impact on your driving habits and everyday life, but for you to make a little bit of money because the utility sees this as a valuable service and is going to pay you accordingly.
Well, and it's energy ownership in a way that we've never seen before. I mean, in the past with a gas car, it's like you buy the gas car, you buy the gasoline, you're buying that from corporations from somewhere. You're not pulling gas out of your gas tank to do something at your house. That wasn't even an option. It's just like, if I run out of gas and if the power goes out, I guess I could go buy a gas generator maybe and have that as. So we've had this very kind of archaic way of understanding how we use energy for a long time, but electrification is really turning that into an opportunity for people to say, wait, I can own and control this. I can even make my own energy at home using things like solar.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the example we just went through is just simply how you can get paid by your utility company for turning your charger off. But for the products that we've recently deployed over the past year and a half, like our PowerShift product line and our home energy management system and our V2H bundles, they're adding a different feature that people are really, really interested in. See this as a competitive differentiator for GM products, is not only can they participate in those utility programs, earn a little bit of money, but they can also have this system. They can use their vehicle as backup power. They can use their vehicle plus the power bank in addition to that as backup power, or the ability to do some level of cost arbitrage.
Cost arbitrage.
I know.
That was
these are like the terms that go through my mind. But basically, buying low, selling high, as far as electricity is concerned.
Someone walked by and they're like arbitrage.
Yeah, feel free to stop me whenever I.
Oh no, but actually, what's funny though, that's a great use of that word. One of my favorite movies is Family Man with Nick Cage. Do you remember that movie?
It's Family Man with Nick Cage.
It's based in New York. And Don Cheadle's an angel and comes to visit him, and he has this like weird view of his life. But then as he's going through that process, at one point he says to his wife, "I'm going through arbitrage, Kate." And I remember as a kid watching that movie going, "What is it? Arba?" But again, it's still used in regulations.
We're gonna have to. I was about to say rent that one.
It's a holiday movie. It's coming up. It's coming up. But what you bring up though is very important. Is that people have agency and understanding around how they can benefit both from a lifestyle perspective, but also financially.
Yes,
that matters in a very big way. And fossil fuels, sorry to break it to you, it does not offer you that option. But electrification, it does, and you're exposing all of those different facets through GM Energy.
Yeah, and I think there's some key pieces to mention that are really closely tied to the work I'm specifically doing in my team. Yes, we have great products over there that will take the place of a generator. It can be charged up using solar that's on your roof or clean energy that you're buying from elsewhere. But in addition to that, the utilities are really interested in the deployment of in getting these products into customers' homes. So in a number of locations, particularly right now in California with PG&E, which is one of the largest investor-owned utilities in the country, they're paying homeowners up to $4,500 to have this system, to purchase this system as an upfront incentive. So we're super excited about that. We're starting to see other utilities interested in similar ways. And you know what? Two of them are actually pretty close to here. One of them is Eversource in Connecticut.
Okay.
And then we also have National Grid in Massachusetts. They haven't really jumped on the V2H bandwagon just yet, at least with us, but they are really interested in the power bank energy storage product that GM has. And
V2H being vehicle to home, so that's
correct.
Yeah, the energy from the vehicle to the house. And again, but your point about PG&E in California is a good example of a forward-thinking utility that's working to be proactive with automakers on this process, and they're incentivized to get people to do this to the tune of thousands of dollars. There's not a fossil fuel product out there you can buy today where they're doing that. They'll take your money happily, but they're not going to be saying, we will pay you to be engaged. Right. No, I think what we're talking about here is it's a brand new concept. And most everybody that comes to Expo, people that are buying EVs, they oftentimes just think this is a mode of transportation. Their first concern is, where do I fill it up with electricity? But for homeowners, what we're talking about is really a next step for how they can own and engage with energy in a way they never have before. So kind of high level, how do people find out about more of these products and programs? I know you said it's utility focused, but for GM Energy in general, where do they go to find information?
Yeah, there's a lot of great resources that are being provided or released. We're working with, I think one of the most key places for people across the 50 states is to go to your local GM dealer, your Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC dealer. We are working with dealers across the country to inform them and help them kind of understand how.
That's a big educational hurdle for you guys.
Yeah, but we have a lot of it's been something that so many of our dealers are super excited about, as this is an opportunity to sell their customers or get solve an additional problem for their customers.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the best way to put it, is that not only they know their customers, if they're buying an electric vehicle, are going to be more often than not interested in a charger as well. But here's an opportunity, in addition to that charger, that you have home backup either through your vehicle or through your vehicle plus a battery storage system. So that's one channel in which we're working, and we really want to make sure that that sort of relationship between the customer, the dealer, and GM is one of the strongest. But in addition to that, we have been working with the brands directly to send out contacts and emails whenever we have any type of utility program that goes live in a particular territory, or oftentimes like when somebody just buys, is buying a new vehicle, just to make sure that this is part of like the welcome package and what they're aware of are other accessories or other resources that can go along with their vehicles.
It's a lot for a lot of people, I think, to hear up front. I think that, again, even on the dealer side too, they're very familiar with selling cars. This is another aspect of car ownership that they can then sell. But this is why Expo exists, is to have these conversations, to bring out GM, to have you guys on display with a lot of these products. So I can see the General Motors logo right here directly straight across from where I'm looking.
Yeah, it's well located.
Yeah, no, again, it's right at that front entry. So if you want to get more information about this here at the show, swing by the GM booth. You guys got most of this on display?
Yeah, we have all this on display. One thing, so this is a great opportunity for anybody here in person to see the vehicles as well as these systems. And I think one of the, all of this kind of funnels down into what we found to work super well in getting customers educated and understanding how these type of systems can be installed at their home, is we have a team of HECs, or home energy consultants, and through the GM Energy website or in connection with your dealer, you can schedule an appointment with one of the home energy consultants to go through the different details of your home, what your vehicle is, what you're interested in. They can help right-size you the appropriate system and give you any details or information that you're looking for.
Yeah, every home is going to be unique, and especially here on Long Island, for example. I mean, over 80% of the people on Long Island own single-family homes, so that's a good example of getting that information from the HECs. Yep. Again, each house is going to be special to that situation, so you have to do an assessment and make sure you understand what is the proper use case for. Again, there's the vehicle they want to buy that they might have fallen in love with, and how does that then tie to the home and the other products you have from GM Energy?
Exactly. So, just kind of continuing down that thread, the HEC can also help you get a quote either from one of GM's preferred installers. We typically work with Qmerit on that. And that can be something that the customer can see early on in their kind of product consideration process.
Gotcha. No, we've covered a lot. So is there anything we've missed, aside from the Teddy analogy that you're going to use moving forward?
No, I think we've really hit on a lot of super important stuff. I'm just very happy that there's clearly so much excitement around electric vehicles here. I'm going to spend some time over at the GM booth, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be wearing the GM Energy 1/4 zip. That's probably going to keep me a little warmer than I'd like. But I really, really appreciate the opportunity. I know us as a team at GM Energy is thrilled to be here and be able to kind of talk and share some of the great stuff that we're working on.
No, that's awesome. The promise of how electrification lends to other parts of lifestyle ownership and how you can have ownership of your energy and how you can control it more is, again, you guys are opening up that door to a lot of customers. That's awesome. So, again, be sure to check out the General Motors booth for more information about GM Energy and the product we've been discussing. Again, Harris Schaer, you're Senior Product Manager of Utilities and Aggregators for GM Energy. Thank you so much for coming by. Answering questions for people is going to be a big part of why Expo exists, why the EV reality check space exists. That's why we're here. So thank you for your time. For those listening, we'll have more industry experts coming by throughout the day to have these types of conversations. If you want to talk to Harris, catch him right here after the conversation. But for those listening, stay tuned. We got more coming up here at the EV reality check booth powered by GreenCars.com.